I'm sitting here looking at the panel with Twice taking off his mask and showing it to Shigaraki. This panel, this entire flashback. Oh my god. Oh my god. So, okay, where to begin? Okay, so, let me just read what Twice says here, okay? It was my carelessness that brought him to us in the first place. I'm a human too, you know, Shigaraki. And he rips his mask over his head. This is a very dramatic moment for Twice as a character. Because, let's go a couple pages back, okay? If you go a couple pages back, you see Twice, his mask, it gets ripped a bit, and he's scrambling and all that. He's like, holy crap, no, this is bad, this is bad. He's grabbing his head and all that, and you see where he's fighting within himself, like his double personality's coming out, he's fighting back and forth. He's like, I'm going to split, he's getting terrified, and he's just trying to figure out a way to cover up, you know, his other side that's showing out of his mask. Toga comes up, wraps up a little handkerchief or bandage around his head where, you know, it was loose, where his mask got ripped off. And it just shows the connection between these characters. But first things first, though, let's just talk about what I was just briefly talking about. This is what's present day time going on right now. Twice, he doesn't want him to have his mask, like, ripped off or anything, because he fears that he's going to split in half, which we know because of his backstory. And when you see in the past, with the flashback, when he takes off his mask, you see this man sweating. You can see the fear and sadness and the stress in his eyes. Like, you can really see the stress in his eyes. He's like, I'm a human too, you know, Shigaraki. Basically, in this moment, what this represents is that he cares more about the death of his friend than his own self in that moment. That's what that represents. Hear me out. As we know, Twice he blames himself quite a bit for what has happened to their group, the League of Villains. He blames himself because Magne, I don't remember how to completely pronounce his name, but as we know, he got killed by Overhaul, and he feels responsible for that, for the death of his teammate, but also what happened to Mr. Compress and how he lost his arm. Twice feels very, very guilty. He feels extremely guilty for what he did. And normally when you think about a person, a villain, in a sense, especially in a shonen, you don't think a villain would care too much about their allies. I mean, when you think of typical shonen's series, or even villains in other series, actually, not even shonen, but seinen too, usually villains don't really care much about their allies. They don't care about their teammates, people that they've been fighting with for years or whatever. They don't really care. They'll throw them under the bus and let them get hit multiple times over, even if they had all their bones broken and they were begging for your help. They would just sit there and watch them get killed. They wouldn't care. They would throw them under the bus repeatedly and never blink and never look back. But what this shows here is what Horikoshi has done to develop the villain side of the story. We have seen this showcased multiple times, and I have talked about this multiple times, that Horikoshi, the way he's building up Shigaraki as a character, it's very interesting and fascinating, because when we see his development, or we see Izuku's development, we could assume that he's going through very similar development. Shigaraki and his group is going through similar development. That's what's happening here. This flashback showcases that there is a very big bond between this group. Now, it's already been established that there was a bond. We've already heard about it and seen it ourselves. However, with Twice going this far to endanger his own life, endangering his own self and going against something that he fears and is scared of, to take off his own mask and say to Shigaraki, I'm a human too, it proves the fact that this man, how deep his wound is when it comes to how his friend died. So, Horikoshi is making these characters feel more real, human. Now, let's talk about something else, okay? Let's go a little bit more into their teamwork. For Twice to even do something like this shows how much he cares about them, how he cares about his allies, and how much he does carry this guilt within him. And when Toga confronts him, talks to him, this is truly a great moment. Let me just read this moment. It hurts, doesn't it? Even though you're the one who feels the greatest responsibility for Magne getting killed. In spite of that, you're doing your best, just like you made up your mind to. You're cooperating with them. It hurts, right, Jin? What this shows is that Toga and everybody else is very aware of how guilty Twice feels, the guilt he carries, but they also do care about him. Toga, from what we have seen from her character, she's a psychopath. She's a serial killer. She has a lot of people that she has killed under her belt. We know for a fact. However, there is definitely some kindness within her. She does care about her allies. You can even clearly see this with the way she talks to Twice and helps him out. I mean, she didn't even need to do that for him. She didn't need to cover up the side of his face, because if this would have been a typical villain relationship that you see in other series, she wouldn't have went that far to help him out. But she did, which shows that she deeply does care. But then she didn't even need to go as far as to comfort him and make him feel better by, basically saying, I understand you feel very bad and all that, but, you definitely are doing a good job. But the way you're, pulling through and you're working with these people that made you feel so guilty. So I do appreciate this exchange between these characters. And then also showcasing Shigaraki's change as well. Shigaraki, back into the flashback, he removes the hand off his face. And it's a very rare thing to see this done. There's only very rare cases we have actually seen this in Boku no Hero Academia. And him to remove the hand off of his face, it's a representation of he wanted to look them in the eye and tell them the truth. And that's what's truly amazing but scary about this panel. And hear me out. Shigaraki as a character, when he was introduced, he was someone that was a very, very loud individual. He was like a baby. He was a baby villain. He was someone that used to think everything was a game. And he would throw all of his allies or, pieces of his team under the bus, like I was earlier talking about. He would just throw them under the bus and wouldn't even care. Remember, that's what he did when we had the first introduction of his character. When all the other villains got defeated and all that, he's like, what the hell? Okay, that doesn't matter. And, he just didn't care about them at all. He had no respect for anybody that got defeated or imprisoned. He didn't care. And so when you compare that version of Shigaraki to this version of Shigaraki, you can see that he has chilled a lot. Like, he has mellowed out, and he's not as aggressive as he once was. Like, he's not yelling constantly, and he's not acting like a child. He's actually just saying what needs to be said, and also you could see that he has compassion. He cares about his friends. He doesn't want them to get hurt. Clearly, he cares about his team. He does. Even as the ringleader, the head honcho, he clearly cares for his team. And for him to even take off the hand off of his face, it's like showing he's having a bonding moment with them. He's like, okay, you respected me twice. You were willing to remove your mask for me. I will remove the hand off my face and talk you in the eyes. Talk to you, eyes to eyes, and just let you know how I feel, what I want to do. And when this man looks, and you see his face, a clear image of his face, you don't see a face that's sadistic, a face that we saw him make a while back. He has this face that's just calm. And when you look at it, it's like this man clearly, he knows what he wants, but it's scary. Because for this character that was so aggressive and loud, to mellow out like he is right here, he is not someone that you want to underestimate anymore. He has definitely matured and grown as a villain, and he's definitely someone that is being built up considerably thanks to this one panel. because there's just a drastic difference between the characters from the beginning of the series to where we're at right now in Boku no Hero Academia. So Horikoshi, what he did with this flashback was truly good stuff. He did a very good job with showing how scary this team is and what they will become, because this isn't a typical relationship between villains, because like I've already said, normal villains, they don't care about each other. We've even seen that from Overhaul's group. Overhaul is a perfect example. Let's think about the Overhaul's entire group, his villain group, okay? They don't care about each other. They don't care. They have their own goals. They don't care. They're willing to, hit each other, throw each other under the bus. They have no respect for the leader. I mean, we have seen this already showcased all from Overhaul's group. And in this case, from what you can see here, is that there is a very big, drastic difference between both groups here. And what this is trying to show is that Horikoshi is wanting us to see that Overhaul's group is a stereotypical villain organization, while Shigaraki's group is a villain organization with morals and compassion, and they're a group of misfits, but they have nowhere to belong, and they're doing what they're doing because they need to do it for their own reasons. They have these purposes that they need to do, their own conviction. Sounds similar to what someone was trying to do a while back, and also in the recent episodes of, the anime. But it seems like this was a very good way to build up these characters. And if you look at it from a different perspective, these past 2 chapters, more or less, were development for our villain side of the story, seeing how they're developing for their in-game result, because it's not just the heroes that are developing and growing and getting stronger and changing, it's also the villains. And this is clearly what Horikoshi has been doing since the very beginning of the series. He's been building up Shigaraki. He's been making it to where he has grown just as much as Deku has been growing. That's how Shigaraki has been handled. And this is eventually going to come to the point to where when both of these characters clash, for instance, Shigaraki and Izuku, they go up against each other, it's going to be an insane battle, because we're most likely going to understand both characters completely inside and out. We're going to know what they want, what they're thinking, how they would react to each other. We'll just have a perfect understanding of these characters, and so when they finally fight, we won't probably really know who to vote for, because there is some villains, for what they fight for, are not necessarily a bad thing. Like, what they want may be some good things, but their actions for how they're trying to obtain it could be very misleading or fucked up, but he could be trying to do something good, and that's what I'm getting at. I mean, I know Shigaraki wants to kill All Might, I know that, but there's definitely more to it than just that. There's definitely a greater thing beyond that, and I'm just looking forward to seeing when Horikoshi finally wants to reveal it. Anyways, though, let's continue on with, the actual chapter. So the message here of what Shigaraki was doing is he put Twice and Toga in Overhaul's group to destroy them, eradicate them, get rid of that group completely. He didn't want someone there to fight against him, and he also didn't like how Overhaul didn't respect him at all. For instance, Overhaul has no respect for the, League of Villains. He had no respect for any of them. He didn't think of them as equals at all, and so he was wanting to just slowly remove pieces from Shigaraki and then bring all these pieces over to his side. And so that's kind of what, Shigaraki showcases. Like, he's wanting to make you guys join his side and then leave me. And for Shigaraki to even say this, it shows that he's also leveled up in the brain department. He's no longer just rushing in. He is thinking about certain actions, what he needs to do. And so him saying that, we now know his objective. He wants to destroy Overhaul's organization. So it's a 3-way fight right now. The League of Villains versus Overhaul's group versus the heroes. So this is pretty badass. A very badass way to kind of introduce this big plot point to the arc. Okay, anyways, let's talk about the beginning of the chapter, okay? So let me get into what, Sir Night-Eye did, because I think everybody's going to want me to talk about that. So basically, the chapter begins where it ended off last week. You have it to where, Night-Eye staring down at, Deadpool, aka, Twice, and he's looking at him and all that, and Twice, he's acting like he always does. He's acting, like, very weird and funny and quirky, just like, like a Deadpool-type character, and all of a sudden, as Rampa, the clone of Rampa, is going in, he's like, "Do your thing, Rampa's brother!" So basically, you have it where Twice is like, "You can do this, you can go in, kick his ass," and all that. And soon as, Twice is getting all happy and, because he's about to whoop their ass, all of a sudden, Sir Night-Eye's like, "Nope!" Trips him, bashes him into a wall. And that was a very funny exchange, because soon as he hit this man, Twice looks over, he's like, You can see it. Go to page 6, okay? Go to page 6 on MS, you can see what I'm talking about. But twice after all that, like, it happened in the blink of an eye, because this man is still on his knee, one knee on the ground and all that with his fist up, so he hasn't really even moved much at all. And basically, Rappa got fucked up so fast, hit up against the wall, and time it was done, he's like, what the fuck? Like, his face, like, what the, like, the face that fucking Twice made was so perfect, because the man's like, are you fucking serious? Like, are you fucking serious? You had one job. You had one job, and you fucked it so hard. He's like, you had one job. So, I truly like that about this moment. I don't know if anyone else laughed as much as I did to it, but just seeing Twice just look over at Rappa getting fucked over, the clone of Rappa getting fucked over, he's like, you useless sack of shit. But this does prove one thing. Fucking Sir Night-Eye is ripped. Like, this man has not missed the leg day, arm day, sit-up and push-up day. He's Saitama, okay? This man has definitely went all in on training and improving his body's condition, because those abs, you can probably grind meat on those. So basically, Sir Night-Eye is not someone that is weak physically, which was to be expected, because I talked about it last week, that there's just no way someone like Sir Night-Eye, especially after working with All Might and having to fight strong opponents, he would be someone that would be overpowered by physical strength. Maybe he couldn't do a full-on brawl or fist fight with Rappa. I don't think that's possible. However, he is someone that has had to master a lot of probably techniques and get a lot of agility to dodge powerful foes, because like I said, he's fought with All Might. So him being able to dodge Rappa and then kick him to the side like that and read his movements and abilities, it makes perfect sense, because number one, Sir Night-Eye, he's someone that has shown he has a very, very high intellect. And on top of that, he is someone that can't always use his quirk to help him out. So he has to strengthen his body. And so because of that, most likely he's mastered a lot of fighting styles. He's mastered a lot of things that villains try to do with the way they come in with their fist, and he's able to counter them. You can clearly see that Night-Eye has a lot of skill in this regard. Because when Rappa came in, Sir Night-Eye was able to actually read him. He looked at him, he ducked under, like, you know, actual, like, he knew where his fist was going. He's ducked under it, and then he fucking just made it to where he flipped over. He just made it to where he was falling, and then he kicked him over into the wall. So basically what that was showing is that he may not have a lot of raw physical strength. Well, maybe he does have a lot of raw physical strength, because to knock someone like Rappa that far over, he does have a lot of raw physical strength. But, I mean, he definitely has a lot of agility. And so, he is not someone that you should completely underestimate, and that was to be expected. I've already talked about it, so I'm not going to go too much further into that. But regardless, though, Twice gets a little bit fucked up by Night-Eye, gets his master moved, and as I've already discussed in this chapter review, Night-Eye fucked him over, and Twice is like, oh fuck, you know, I need to cover my face, and then, you know, Toga comes in and tries to help him out. So, getting past all this, let's get into the next thing I need to talk about. It's very simple, it's not going to take more than probably 20 to 30 seconds to cover, but basically, Izuku figures out that Toga was Kami, or however you pronounce her name, a while back. As we remember, when we had the big test going on a while back, like an arc or so ago, we had it to where Toga was a part of this, like, exam, and we saw the transformation ability and all that. Izuku got up close and personal to see this, and now that he saw Toga in action with her ability, he's going to be able to put point A to point B together, and he's going to be like, oh shit, this is the same person, and he does do exactly that in this chapter. So he now knows that something is definitely going on, something much bigger in the grand scheme of things with the villain, you know, the League of Villains. So he's like, oh shit, like, I need to figure out what's going on. So Toga's identity has been uncovered, and there's definitely going to be something that's going to be going on with that once this arc is concluded. So, moving past that, now let's talk about the stuff with what Mimic is doing. So, Mimic, he compresses the entire area of the room together, and he's trying to kill everyone. And what this is showing is he's run out of options, and he's just going to try to kill everyone and maybe even take himself with it. So, he's just doing everything he can to kill all of the heroes and villains alike in this area, because right now it's a three-way battle between all of them. The League of Villains, to Overhaul's group, to the heroes. So that's what's going on in this final segment of the chapter. So that's about it. That's it when it comes to this chapter. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.